Hello and welcome everyone. This is actually my first video on this channel. My name is Levi and I want to share my gunpla builds, how I build them, and maybe some stories behind them. And I thought the best place to start is with this. The first gunpla I ever owned. So yeah, let's get started. Yeah, my first Gundam or Gunpla is not a Gundam. Alright, let's open it. This is maybe weird, but hear me out. I've always loved opening a fresh box of Gunpla. The smell of the plastic and seeing the runners inside reminds me of opening trading cards or a brand new book. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who does this. Let me know down in the comments. You also snip the box when you open a new kit? By the way, this kit is HGUC MS09F Dome Tropen, one of the many mobile suits from the Mobile Suit Gundam 0083 Stardust Memory. While we're looking at the contents of this kit, let me share you a quick story. Back when I first saw this kit, I didn't know anything about Gundam. I actually found it in a thrift shop when I was still in high school. The box was pretty beat up, the runners weren't sealed, and some parts were already loose. But when I look at the box, my first thought was, wow, this looks like Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. You know, the guy, the big bulky guy or zombie with huge shoulders and giant bazooka. And for some reason, that instantly made me fall in love with the design. I didn't know the story or the lore behind this kit. I just knew it looks so cool at that time. Now that I finally have a little more budget and maybe a bit more skill, I thought it would be fun to revisit this kit and try to do it justice. So yeah, that's everything inside the box. We've got 7 runners in total, including the polycaps for articulation and the instruction manual. And of course, we have the stickers. But for this build, we won't be using them. Most of the time, I actually don't use stickers in my kits. For this video, I won't be showing a full step-by-step guide or parts-by-parts build. Because for me, I think the part of the fun of this hobby is discovering the build yourself and seeing how the kit comes together for the first time. And that process is what really makes you feel connected to the kit. But I will share some tips on how to prepare your kit, especially if you're planning to paint it or customize it. Alright, this is how I cut parts from the runners. Don't cut right against the part and leave a little nub first. I do a rough cut to remove the piece, then a second cut closer to clean it up. And it should look something like this. Now grab that hobby knife and start trimming the knobs, little by little. Be careful, this thing cuts plastic really well, and your fingers too. Now sand the remaining knob until it's smooth. I usually use around 400 to 600 grit sandpaper. I don't sand it to absolute perfection though, just enough to flatten the knob. Since I'm spraying primer later, that will help smoothen the surface. I also use glass files, which are actually my preferred method since the results are pretty fast. But I hear for some people that they can leave marks on the surface if you're not careful. But I think it just takes a bit of practice to get used to. You see that line? That's a mold line. It comes from the plastic molding process at the factory. You'll want to get rid of those. Aside from seam lines, this is something I notice a lot on other builds. And honestly, it makes me mildly annoyed. It really doesn't look good on a kit, especially painted ones. You do you, but personally, I don't like leaving those on my builds. You can use a hobby knife or a scraper made specifically for mold lines. I'm using the one from Hobby Mio, but honestly, any brand will do just fine. And you can finish it with sandpaper. More mold lines to scrape. Thankfully, this kit doesn't have that many mold lines, but getting rid of them is always satisfying, like scratching an itch you've been wanting to get to. And here's the seam line. I'll demonstrate on how to remove it, but that'll be in the next video. Before I reveal the assembled kit, here's a quick tip, especially if you're planning to paint or customize. Since you'll be doing a lot of test fitting and disassembling, I like to cut the male peg at a slight diagonal. It makes the parts much easier to detach later. That's it. Simple but really helpful. Alright, here's the assembled kit. The dome Tropen. For now, this is just a clean build, but the plan is to take it further. The plan is I'm going to add some details like scribe panel lines, a few plow plates for extra details, and of course, painting. And finish it off with my favorite part of painting, the weathering. And don't worry, I'm going to teach you all of that as well. So, if you want to see all of that comes together, make sure to follow and stick around for part 2. Alright, that's it from me for now. See you on the next video.